Hello, hello, and welcome to Inspired Writer show number 2. I'm really excited to speaking to Karina. So, just like you to say a little bit about yourself, what your author journey's been like, and then we'll take it from there.
Awesome. So I am brand new to authorship, but
Okay.
I've been writing a lot for years and years and years, but mostly music. So I'm a
Okay.
composer. I have been doing music for almost 30 years and playing and teaching and all these things. So right now I have a business where I write music for podcasts and for commercials and video games and things like that. And so I'm hoping to maybe not write a novel, but I'm trying to learn more about writing prose and things so that I can get into writing musicals. So that's
Right.
what I'm interested in. There's a lot of, it's not the exact same as writing a book, but it's similar enough
Okay.
that I think a lot of the creative challenges apply.
Mm.
So.
Yeah. The mindset stuff and all the challenges that you face. Okay. So what's your biggest challenge that you face at the moment?
Probably knowing how to prioritize my time when I'm writing.
Okay.
So I'm a mom. I have 3 little kids at home.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of time to
Yeah.
just sit for hours, even though I'd love to just belt everything out. So when I do have a few moments, knowing what will be the best use of my time right now so that you're not, oh, I'll do this. Oh, wait, no, I'm going to do this. And you kind of go back and forth and then you're not as productive.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. So for me, have you got a specific amount of time that you've got, or do you just say, right, okay, I'll just do it when I can, or how do you sort of like work it?
Yeah, it depends on the day. There are definitely days that it's like, okay, I'm just going to fit it in whenever they're happy and they're settled and they're preoccupied. They're preoccupied, great, let me go do it real fast. And then there's other days where, like especially over the weekends, where I can schedule things out better. So it's all about flexibility. So routines are helpful, but they have to be really short and really fast and be able to happen at any time in the day.
Right, okay. Is there any particular times when, and obviously I know it's difficult because you've got 3 young kids, so, it's a bit carnage sometimes, it's organised chaos. But to say, is there any times during the day where you can say, look, I can actually attribute, my dog's trying to jump in at the moment. Go over there, Tom. So is there any opportunities that you have during the day where you can sort of say, I've got 15 minutes here where I can sort of like organise my time, or it's just physically there is nothing and you just go, right, okay, they're doing something, right, I've got my chance to do it now?
Yeah, bit of both.
Okay. Over the course of the day, how long do you think you've got? Do you think you sort of got 4 or 5, 15 minutes, or you've got a chance where you've got an hour? How does that work for you?
So during the day, I probably have a few chunks of 10 to 15 minutes. And then depending on what else needs to happen, after they go to bed, then I have maybe an hour or 2. But that doesn't always get dedicated to the writing. That sometimes is dedicated to my business. And sometimes I just need to catch up on cleaning the house, So again, it's just all of that flexibility.
Yeah. Okay. So what is actually your aim? How many words, or how much work do you want to do over the course of a week?
That's a good question. I've never tried to put a word count to it.
Okay.
That might be helpful. I tend to think of it in tasks. So when I'm writing music, it's I'm going to work on these lyrics, or I'm going to work on this instrumentation, or I'm going to do the sheet music, or I'm going to try to work on mixing and mastering. But writing being more unfamiliar to me, it's kind of just all this conglomerate of I need to write. It is not as specific. So knowing how to make it more specific so that I can prioritize what needs to happen better.
Okay. The challenge you've got is sort of like having that sort of, right, okay, I've got an hour and I can do 10,000 words, that's what I've got to get done, just for an example. But you just got to, it's a little bit more complicated for you. What I personally would do is, it's not meditation, but sort of like before you go into actually doing your work, it's just sort of like breathe for 30 seconds, sort of stop. So it's called box breathing. I don't know if you've even heard of it, where you hold your breath, breathe in for 5 seconds, hold your breath for 5 seconds, and then breathe out for 5 seconds, and then just sort of like go, right, what role am I going into? So you're going from a mother into, who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? What do I need to do during this time? And that's what I personally would recommend you do, because what tends to happen, and what I get the feeling from you is that, and I can understand it, is that it's right, okay, I've got to get this done, right, off we go. And you just don't, it's constant, like, you're running on a regular basis, your mind's rapidly thing. So, and when you actually do stuff and you want to be creative, you've got to be in a calm place, and that becomes difficult for you. So when you actually sit there after you sort of like, oh great, I've got 15 minutes, just get this done, it's got to be done, you're exhausted, and you're not thinking how you want to. So I personally would think that, maybe, again, this is entirely down to you, but an invitation to you to think, well, I've got more time the weekend. Have I got time to then go, actually, I'll do my writing the weekend and then do my little business bits during the week? Because when you need to be your most creative, you need to be your most calmest, because that's when your brain is working its best. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. And probably helping reduce the frantic nature of life that generally permeates the environment.
Yeah. Do you have a journal or anything that you sort of write down what your intentions are for the day, what you need to get done, etc.? No, I don't want a big long job list, but just something that just sort of like, this is what I want to get done today.
I have multiple journals. I use them for lots of different things. But that's one that I actually haven't tried, is writing down an intention for the day. I think I tried that a little bit ago, but yeah, I have a journal. Let's see, I have this journal that I write down what I'm grateful for each day in. And then I have this journal where I write down things that I'm learning or beautiful things that I noticed that inspire me to create things. And then I have this journal that I actually write music in and music sketches in. And then if you could see just directly this side of the computer, I have probably another 5 or 6 on that shelf right there. So, but so how do you, when you are writing down in this journal intentions, how do you format that? Like, is it today I intend to, like, how do you eliminate the task nature of it? Because especially being so busy and having so many things that need to get done, I find to-do lists stacking up everywhere. I have like note cards scattered all over my house with all the things that I feel like I need to do on them that constantly either get crossed off and then are replaced by another 3 items, or just never get crossed off. So, how do you avoid that?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Well, basically what I do, I've got a book, I don't think I've got it with me at the moment, but it's called High Performance Planner by Brendan Bouchard. And he just splits up, and what you appreciate for the day and what your intentions, and it gives you 3 goals to set, or what's the 2 most important things you need to get done during that day, and then just go towards that. And one question I would always ask you when you're going through your list, again, you can do this how you want, I would ask yourself, what jobs don't I need to do? So when you're formatting your job for the day, what jobs don't I, what's important? So if it's important, it needs to do it. If it's urgent, it needs to be doing today. If it's relevant, then I'll just push it to one side and go, that can wait, because we are so creative and we come up with these ideas and we want to get them all done, and we just end up there's 50 million things and you end up burning yourself out. Just focus on one thing. It's about being clarity. And for me, this is the next question I'll be asking you, is about sort of like, what's your vision for where you want to take yourself? Because once you've got that vision, you can then go backwards and go, okay, I don't need to do that because that's not what my vision's about. I don't need to do that. And once you build that confidence, you'll find that actually there's a lot of jobs. Why do I need to do that? Why do I need to do that? It's not important. So you can sort of push it away. So to answer your question, that's what I would suggest you do. 2 jobs a day. That's my intention. This is what I need to get done. And the rest of it, just it's fine. Is it urgent? Do I really need to do it? Because the most important thing really is spending time with your kids and moving your business forward. And as long as you put your hand in the heart at the end of the day and say, have I done enough? Yes, I have. Then that's really what you do. And that's the question I'd put the end. As long, I think, can't remember the question that Brendan puts at the very bottom. It's basically along the lines of, if you know you've had a good day today, you would have felt like this, and then obviously you can write down what it is, so that's really what you need to do. Hang on, I've done my best today. I'll move myself forward 1%. It's also being understanding to yourself and kind, because, you're doing your best. Yeah, there's only so much energy you have in a day, and that has to go towards your kids, which is the most important thing. You want to move your business forward, that's important too, but it is really focusing on that. So that's what I do. Just cut rubbish. What jobs don't I need to do? If we really do I need to do that? No. Okay, well, that can go by the wayside, and then just sort of appreciate the fact which you're doing of what you've done for the day. So yeah, that's what I do. But I didn't suggest getting a high performance plan on purpose, because if you've got 2 planners already, you don't need another one. Like, that's a big stack of planners like this, and go, oh my God, which one is it today? Yeah, so no, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when I go to the store, sometimes my husband has to remind me, you're not allowed to buy any journals when you're at the store today. And I'm like, but I might need another one. Like, I just love them. I love them. And I love pens. Yeah. I have so many pens everywhere, but they're all for different, like, I use them all for specific things. I love it. It's so fun. But yeah, that's really great advice. I like thinking about how I want to feel at the end of the day, because so many times I'm woken up in the morning by my kids already super high energy, and they're already bouncing off the walls, and so I wake up already feeling out of control. Yeah. I'm like, I need to catch up. I'm already behind. So taking a minute to be like, okay, how do I want to feel when the day is over? And that's a great way to do it. Something that I have done that has been helpful to kind of, when I do get in the rut of to-do lists, is I put the to-do list aside and I just create a got done list. I don't know if we've ever done this before, but where each time you accomplish something, it doesn't matter what it is. I brushed my hair, write it down on the list. I brushed my teeth, write it down on the list. I went for a walk, write it down on the list. My kids didn't die. They didn't starve. They were alive all day. Write it down on the list, right? Just whatever you accomplish of whatever size of task. I wrote 10 words. Maybe I wanted 10,000 words, but I wrote 10 words, write it on the list. And that way, it helps me see that I'm actually progressing. I'm not just stuck in this limbo, which is so easy to just constantly feel, because you don't see the forward progress you're making a lot without taking the conscious time to recognize it. Yeah. So that's something that I've done that helps, but I really like what you said also. That's very helpful.
No, and that's really good advice to say. One of the things that we really struggle with creatives is that we don't appreciate what we're doing and how far we've come and what we've done. And I do recommend that you just, once a week, you sit and you just sort of journal on what you've done and what you've, how you've progressed. And I'm sure that you get it as well. You'll get people saying, oh, wow, you're amazing. This is a beautiful piece of music. And I'm sure you get that type of feedback. Screenshot it and have it in somewhere. So when you're feeling down and thinking, oh my God, because we all do, every single one of us, I do too, this is rubbish, I'm not going anywhere with this, because your mind tends to reset everything. Just go back and look at them, and you'd be humbled by that. Actually, do you know what? I am showing progress. But yeah, reflection. This is what I do. Once a week, I reflect on my week, how I've got on, what I need to improve. I also try and give myself a lot of wiggle room as well, because things will come up that I might need to do, and also things that you thought, right, okay, these have got to be done, and something happens, and it's just sort of, that's to be pushed to one side. You just got to be understanding and just show that kindness to yourself and say, look, I'm one person, I'm doing my best. So, yeah. The next question I really look to ask you is, what's your vision? So if I said to you sort of like 5 years down the line, where would you love to be with your books and with your career, with your music and everything?
Yeah. So I have a hard time thinking about this because I tend to go a little bit overboard.
And
it scares and it scares me sometimes, but that means that I know that I should do it.
Yeah.
So things that I envision is writing music for bigger, more well-known video games, having an online presence with my music, not just, a YouTube channel or whatever, but being able to have a website, have a way for people to find me better. And I want to use that website not just for my music, but to be able to give creative advice to other people. Having a blog or something that then I can maybe use as content or inspiration to write a book later down the line of just what it's like to manage for creativity in a world that tends to suppress our creative habits. Because the world is so busy, it's so distracting, it's so difficult to manage for creativity sometimes when you're constantly distracted by everything else that's happening. So being able to encourage others to step up to their creative potential is something that I want to do. And then, yeah, I want to have a musical, at least one. I have a few ideas, but I want at least one musical that is performed on stage that I have written in the next 5 years. So those are like my big things that I want to be able to do.
Wicked. How would you want to feel? How do you want to feel? What do you feel when you reach? How, you know, when 5 years down the road and that happens? How would you want to feel?
Yeah, I think it'll be super surreal. But more than that, I want to be able to feel inspired by the people who have inspired me, or by the people that I'm trying to inspire. I want to be able to feel like I have helped people to see the best in themselves. And I want to be able to leave a message, like be confident in the message that I have left, that it's possible. Whatever you're thinking of doing is possible, which is sometimes hard for me to grasp that feeling, because when I'm creating, I mean, imposter syndrome is like terrible, but it's a real thing. And so it's like, yes, I'm going to help all these people know that whatever they want to do, it's totally possible. They're capable of it. And then I look at what I want to do and I'm like, but can I do this? Like, can I feel that for me right now? Like, it's a hard journey. But being able to do that, I think, is something that I want. And I want to be able to have that, not just for me, but to be able to show an example to my children that they don't need to feel constrained by whatever other people label them as. Like, oh, you're the smart one, you're the funny one, you're, you know, good at math, you're not good at math. Whatever labels people put on you don't define what you are capable of doing.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So you want to be inspiring to your kids?
Yeah.
And what do you want to get from, you know, in the 5 years? So you talk about the feelings. So, you know, obviously the financial things will come into place. Anything particular that you've got a dream that you want to do through that, you know, aside from your job? So, for example, my aim is that I want to help 100,000 people and I want to take my family on amazing experiences. Is there anything particular that you want to do like along those lines, or anything different that you've thought of?
Yeah. I mean, I've always dreamed of going to Italy and studying music there.
Okay.
That's something that I've always wanted to do. Eventually, it might not be like for actual school now, but you know, maybe, I don't know. I want to be able to go and study Gregorian chant. I love Gregorian chant. It's gorgeous, and I think is fundamental for how we use music today, even though a lot of people feel like it's not relevant. The music principles are still very, I mean, they're the very foundation that we build music on now, even though the styles and genres might be very different, right? So anyways, that's like a super obscure thing that I've always wanted to do, and one day I will. It'll be great. But yeah, mostly, like, I want to be able to give, like, thinking financially, my daughter loves ice skating, and I would love to give her the resources to develop that skill and talent. My son really wants to do gymnastics. He loves watching the Olympic gymnastics, and he just thinks it's the coolest thing, and he wants to be able to do those things that those people are doing. And so I'd love to be able to help him develop that. I have time. My kids are 7, 5, and 3. Like, I have plenty of time to be able to do these things, but still, like, I look forward to being able to helping them learn these skills that can just give them, you know, joy and an opportunity to experience life in a different way, while still learning, you know, the important principles of discipline and hard work. And like you kept saying, self-compassion. It's an amazing principle that is super needed in any field of expertise and learning, because you make a lot of mistakes when you're learning. That's how you learn, but you have to learn how to give yourself grace and compassion when you're doing it too.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be hard work. You know, I'm very, very critical, and most creative people are, to be fair. We don't realise what we're actually doing, and we give ourselves a hard time. Is there any sort of other questions you'd like to sort of ask me before we finish?
How do you measure progress? Do you measure your progress by like a word count against like the total word count that you want, or do you measure progress by like the amount of time that you put into it, or how do you manage your measurement of progress towards your success? Okay,
well, the way I do it is, and this is how I just do it, I write about 20,000 words in about 2 weeks, which is, I do non-fiction, so that's okay with me. I used to go, I have to do 1,000 words in this hour, or I'm a failure. So that sort of like level of pressure isn't the best thing to do. But what I would suggest to you is, and especially when you're first doing, is it your first book that you're doing, did you say? Mm-hmm. Yeah, your first book, be really kind and considerate to yourself, because my first book took me about 18 months to write, and there were months where I didn't write a single word, and I was giving myself such a hard time over it and telling myself I'm a complete failure, because how hard is it just to write words? It should be easy. I personally think that as long as you've gone, I've got half an hour today and I've done half an hour's worth of work, hand on heart, then that's all you can sort of like say, if I'm honest. Once you get to the point where you've got a process that works for you, and you're in a, you know, and it's a little bit calmer for you as well, and you've not got chaos, then you'll be able to go, I can do 1,000 words, I can do 5,000 words today, and that's fine. But for me, I would just go, okay, as long as I've done half an hour's worth of work today, then that's all you can ask for, because there is going to be times where you're going to sit on there and go, nope, nothing's coming. So it's hard work, because there is so much you have to overcome. You know, that's one of the things that I always sort of try and say to people that are writers and all creative things want to do. If you go to work, you know, I'm feeling really crap today, I want to go to work. You just go to work, that's fine. But as a creative person, actually, that's going to hamper you being creative and earning money. Does that make sense? So we've got to go, okay, we've got to look after ourselves the best possible way we can do. So that's meditation and getting calm and enjoying stuff. Then that's what I would do. So to answer your question, start off with, just give yourself time. And then once you get into a process, you understand it, then you can go, right, okay, I can give myself 1,000 words, because it can be a really big stick to beat yourself with. You know, I've got an hour today and I've written nothing. I'm useless. No, you're not, because you're putting your happiness on achieving something, and you can't do that. So that's something that I've learned. So that's what I'd say to you.
Yeah, that's great. And then when you are trying to improve just yourself as a creative, what resources do you have? Like right now, I'm reading Embrace Your Weird by Felicia Day. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, and things like Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff is a book that I just finished. What resources do you use when you're trying to improve yourself as a creative?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've got a life coach. So every single week, me and him will talk, and any challenges that I face, we'll go through, so I'm able to pick things apart and do that stuff. Obviously, I reflect on a weekly basis. I read at least 40 books a year. I'm very sad, and I want to take as much resource as possible. People like Brené Brown, Dare to Lead is a really good book to help you understand. There's a book that's absolutely mind-blowing, and I actually bought this by mistake. But it's called, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Emotional sensitivity and intensity.
Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing book. As I said, and that's some stuff I do. I want to get into mindset. There's a book called Supercoats by Michael Neal, which I think is absolutely amazing. There's a book called Untethered Soul. I really want to know the brain and understanding. And again, another book that I would recommend, and I do talk about Brendan Burchard quite a bit. There's a book called High Performance Habits, and he breaks down what you need to be successful, and he talks about energy levels that you need and lots of stuff. And I would recommend that one if I was in your position. Again, it will take time, listen to it on Audible or whatever time you've got. And another great resource that I've learned, and it's about meditation. And I know how difficult it is for you to go, right, I've got 5 minutes now, because you'll sit down. Oh, great, Mummy's sitting down. Mummy! Every time.
I have to lock my bedroom door in the morning when I'm doing meditation, because otherwise, like, they come in and they're climbing all over me. I mean, it's a great meditation practice. It's like super advanced level meditation to be able to keep trying to do that while they're sitting on. Every once in a while, they'll sit down and like try to mimic what I'm doing, which is great. And I love it, but it lasts all of like 20 seconds. They're like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet? I'm like, no, I'm not done. I take this for at least minimum 10 minutes. If you let me do more, I'll do more. But great.
I can relate to all of that. I'm a little bit luckier because my kids are getting to teenagers now, but I do understand. But there's a really good resource called OM Harmonics on YouTube. You can listen to it. It's not meditation. It's just basically listening to music, and it's like binaural beats, and it sort of like naturally gets your thing down. So there's stuff like that. But for me, I make sure that I journal every single day. I use Brendan Burchard's book, and his High Performance Habits book has just been absolutely mind-blowing for me. So that's really what I do. But I'm just fortunate that I have time to sit and read, and I listen to my Audible. I can be, sit in my drive to work and listen to that. So that's the type of stuff that I do.
Great, thank you. Yeah,
You're
that's very helpful.
You're welcome. Is there any other questions that you've got for me to help you anyway?
Not right now, but I'm excited to see the other podcasts that you have with other people, what their questions are, because I'm sure they have lots of questions that will apply to me also that I'm just not thinking of right now.
Honestly, it's not a problem at all. As I say, you're in our group as well, so I'm quite happy for any questions you've got to come here, and that's what I'm here for. We're all in this together, if I'm honest. We all have our own struggles to deal with. So, my dog's sitting there going, let me out. So I've got that to deal with as well. So that's quite funny. So when I sit there, I don't know whether you can hear him sort of crying in the background. I thought it was quite amusing. But thank you very much. It's really inspiring to speak to you as well. I think you've got really good sort of like vision for what you want to do in 5 years' time, and I have no doubt that you will achieve it. And again, if you need any help, that's what we're here for. So thank you very much, Karina, for your time today.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it, and it's been good fun. And I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.